Welcome back to Coin Sense and Nonsense. Today, we're talking storage. You got your silver art bars, but what do you do with them? Do you put them in capsules? Do you put them in sleeves? Do you put them in a guardhouse box? Do you use a 50? A 25? What do you do when it's all full and you don't have any more money to spend on boxes? So let's talk about the capsules anyway. Mostly I use these on Fire Guy from Amazon, and for most bars they work fairly well. But there are some bars that are trouble, and this one actually I had to put in an album at first because no capsule that I owned would fit it. But we found some other sources for capsules that still fit in the Guardhouse box. So we have a local coin show where there's a vendor or a dealer that sells these. Shouldn't say sleeves, they're capsules, but anyway, $1 a piece. And I found that these would actually help me with some of the bars that were not fitting into the On Fire Guy capsules. But you can only pay $1 a piece for capsules for so long before you wise up. So I asked my LCS to order from the same supplier, and they found these. And these are Guardhouse EvoCore capsules. And look, I got a shit ton. Sorry, this isn't a blooper. And yeah, I got a good deal because I bought 250. So I have a lot of bars, so I need capsules. But anyway, it helped accommodate this bar, which is a canceled one, and certain Motherlode Mint bars are kind of a little wider and slightly longer than the typical bar. So happy to get that in there. I was going to recreate putting it back or putting it into the capsule, but it was a struggle. I don't want to risk it. And then there's a third type of capsule, which is the square cornered one. And if you have bars that just won't fit any other way, like these are thicker than they are wide and long, and so the only way I could put them in a capsule is in the square corner. And they do make a storage box for the square corners, but I've kind of commandeered it and use it for bars I haven't really shown off yet on the channel, or ones that I just don't have space for. So there's some bars that just won't fit in any of those capsules, kind of like the Patrick Mint or Great Lakes Mint. But I busted this one out for my buddy Zizek's Road 15 Freeway. So he recently picked this one up, and I told him, yeah, you scored, because he got a good deal on it. You can see a slight die crack here from the tip of the knife to the edge of the oval. There's a line there. So very cool bar, and these won't fit in any of the capsules I've just shown you or that I know exist. I store my Patrick Mint and Great Lakes Mint in the Whitman Silver Bar album. And these at least have enough space to accommodate the Patrick Mint with the longer bars. And that's a Whitman album. A lot of people are saying, well, why don't you use Dansko? It's the classier album or whatever. So this is a Dansko album, and similar concept, and the quality feels better. However, the space for the bars is much more restrictive. You can't fit Patrick Mint in one of these. Only Madison Mint and those traditionally sized bars will fit in this album. And the third type of album that I know of is the Harco album, and I use that for my Seco Mint bars. And these have like slider sleeves for each row. The problem with these is they're PVC. So you've got to make sure that you use sleeves that are non-PVC inside the album. And so these are kind of like the stiff, older style PVC sleeves. What you want to use are the newer, more flimsy. These are non-PVC sleeves, and you can get these on, I guess you can get them on Amazon, or I forget where I got these. Well, I got these at the coin show also, but I got a good deal. So these are more flimsy and non-PVC. So if you're gonna go for an album that has PVC, at least refresh your bars with some regular plastic sleeves. And just like most things related to silver art bars, they don't make any of this stuff anymore. So good luck trying to find it for a reasonable price. You can find these empty albums online, but usually they're marked up. These, they were available for a while. I think I wiped out the supply, but they were over $100 a piece to buy a new one. And they have very delicate binding or binder. And so I haven't busted this one yet, but you can't really open the pages much more than that without jacking it up. So quality of those is low and yeah, very expensive. And then the Dansko albums, they don't make anymore either. And you got to get, combination, I think, of horizontal and vertical orientation, and they are, adjustable. You can, these are more flexible than the Whitman in that regard. However, this space, not good. Doesn't fit bars. All right, let's say that you can fit them into capsules and you got them all set up and you want to put them in the Guardhouse box, but no room at the end. What the heck do you do? And you really don't want to lay out, these are like $15 a piece, which, it's not the end of the world, but sometimes you don't want to be spending more money on storage. You want to spend it on your bars, right? We've got a hack for that. I got 72 bars in my Guardhouse box by changing the orientation. So where there's a will, there's a way. They're a little looser. I didn't jam in. I could probably maybe jam in another one, but didn't want to do that. So you can fit 72 instead of 50. So in a pinch, if you got to do it, you got to do it. All right. Well, hopefully you learned a little something about storage options for 1 ounce silver bars. And thank you so much for watching Coin Sense and Nonsense. And until next time, bye. Bye. So you've got a bunch. They're in capsules, or maybe they're not in capsules. We'll deal with that in a moment. But basically, you got two choices when you do Guardhouse capsules, or, oh, fuck. Traditionally, been using these capsules that I get from On Fire Guy on eBay. No, Amazon. Douche.